Hello again, everybody. I will try to keep this very short. There's not a huge amount to say, actually. I took the request for more memes to heart, so I've revised my slide deck to include a few amusing pictures, which I hope might find some smiles around the room. I have the next slide, please. Thank you. So, participation tools workstream. This workstream was previously called Payment Manager Adoption. There evolved in the community a product called Payment Manager, which was based on a relatively early version of the Mojaloop SDK. That was produced by a community member and donated to the Mojaloop Foundation. There were some processes that were followed to accept that code into the foundation GitHub organization. But that kind of got stalled because the amount of resource available in the community wasn't huge at that time. So we made a decision to repurpose this work stream to actually think more about the problem of DFSPs joining Mojaloop schemes. On the technical side, system integration. Well, API complexity is a thing. Payments can be a complex area. The transaction flows, the messaging flows can be quite complex depending on the use cases. Peer-to-peer being quite simple, bulk and 3PPI involving lots more steps. The orchestration of requests and responses required to successfully complete those payments can be a tricky thing to implement, especially when you take into account the fact that you need to generate interledger packets, you need to sign your messages with JWS using a particular algorithm and mechanism. You need to verify the signatures on incoming messages using a particular algorithm. And although they're standard and off the shelf, we can reduce the learning curve required by providing libraries that have these built in that follow the Mojaloop standards. Running an operation as a DFSP is a complex thing. Smaller DFSPs might typically not have a huge amount of experience of being connected to a live real-time platform like a Mojaloop switch. You need to monitor your connection. You need to continually ensure that your security keys are rotated following the best practice and what the scheme mandates. You'll need to archive your databases every so often to keep those records to prove that you're in compliance with your regulation. You need to make sure you're secure. It would be useful if you'd know if somebody is trying to attack your system through your connection to a switch. So these are all areas where we think the community can provide tools to help you do that without having to build from scratch. If the community can give you this really high barrier of starting point, you've only got a small way to go. You have to add a small bit of customization on top. That's what we're aiming for here. Thank you. So currently, there are three main options that the community provides. There's the MIFOS Payment Hub EE. There's a link there on the slides. As Simeon, I believe, mentioned, all these decks will be shared after today. So I would encourage you to go and visit each one of these, to at least read the introduction and the documentation so you're familiar with the overview of the product. These are all 100% open source, license fee free tools. Payment Manager, as I said, although not officially adopted by the Mojaloop Foundation yet, it does serve quite a useful purpose, and you'll find it's used quite extensively by community members when they're testing with Mojaloop. And it's even live in some situations in Mojaloop switches at the moment, providing the integration layer between core banking platforms and Mojaloop switch. The Mojaloop SDK perhaps for the more techie among you, if you want to have a look under the hood, how the orchestration at a DFSP can be done, then the ModuLoop SDK gives you a really good starting point. It's like a sample integration layer for you to have a look at. So thank you, everybody. More memes. I realize that in the tech world, usually approximately 50% of the room are Star Trek fans and the other 50% are Star Wars fans. So I thought I'd get everybody with that. Please reach out. Please reach out. I'd love to have some chats with you guys who have problems of bringing people on board. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, there's one question from Warren.
Where do people start if they want to use it?
Okay, if we could possibly go back one slide, please. So if you want to start using any one of these three tools, first of all, you need to know which one is best suited to your use case. So go and read the documentation, understand what their target use cases are, what their target deployment models are. Because they're open source, the source code is there for you on the big World Wide Web. You can download these things, you can install them. You can work your way through the documentation, figure out how to do it yourselves and learn about them in the process. Or you can reach out on the ModuLoop Slack on one of the general channels, and a member of the community will get back to you and help you figure out how to use these tools. There are a number of organizations in the community as well who have a good deal of experience implementing these tools, whose expertise you could call upon. Does that answer okay, Warren? Thank you. Steve.
Fine. No, yeah, we got time for one more.
I just quickly want to say this is an amazing slide. I can't believe we're finally looking at this. It's so simple now. The second thing is, it maybe not in this room, but I would love this slide to show some proprietary solutions as well. I mean, these are the three open source solutions that we know of, but if anyone knows of proprietary solutions that are doing this, I mean, I think we're happy to put them up on the screen next time. So please do send those our way as well, correct?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Obviously, there are a number of proprietary integration platforms around in the world, each with their own pros and cons, which you could use to interface to a ModuLoop scheme. The beauty of these three open source tools, though, is that they've been custom designed to support the ModuLoop transfer flows already. That's baked in. You don't have to build your own orchestration flows. But if you have experience with a particular integration platform, or your DFSP, your customer, if you're an SI, they have a preference for a particular flavor, there's no reason why you couldn't follow the patterns employed in these open source products to duplicate that flow orchestration in whatever tool you wanted. So these are actually a really good reference as being useful off the shelf. But like any product, like any software product, they're never complete. That's why we want your help to come and join in, help us write some code, add features, add functionality. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, James. Right. You've all, Michael, yes. Anybody else apart from Michael? Okay, you have the last question.
Thanks. It's more a comment than anything. I think that going on from James is saying we need additional functionality. One of the things we're starting to think about in the community is that there are now a number of extensions to modular loop functionality, and I'm thinking particularly of currency conversion and PISP support, where we don't want small institutions who belong to modular loop to be frozen out because they don't have the resources to support these things, which can be quite complex. So I think one of the things we'll be wanting to do with Payment Manager, or with any of these tools in the near future, is extending them to provide more functionality, more intermediate functionality.
Yes, thanks, Michael. On one of the earlier slides, I think I had a very short list of use cases where these can help. I think I said PISP, pre-PPI and bulk, but FX is another perfect case in point. Yes, that functionality hasn't been added to any of these three as far as I know yet, but that's certainly on the immediate roadmap.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James.